Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. I want to remind you guys, I am gone tomorrow through the end of the week because as it turns out, sometimes every once in a while, I need some time off too. So in case I forget to tell you guys later in the show, I will not be here. So in that event, make sure to hit even harder the like button if you are watching on YouTube. Make it last, okay? Because you're not going to see another show until next week. And hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving. All right, I want to welcome to the show, joining me for the full ride, we have Jaco Booyens, BlazeTV contributor and founder of Jaco Booyens Ministries, along with Eric July, BlazeTV contributor and founder of Rippaverse Comics. I'm glad you guys are here. I keep thinking that there's going to be like there's going to be a lull in news that's coming out because, okay, Donald Trump won, there was a mandate, but it's been like just this drinking from a fire hose of, announcements of who he's going to have in his cabinet and what he's going to do. And today was no different. So Donald Trump announced last night that in order to end all of the crime, all of the invasion of the illegal immigrants, all of the drugs, particularly fentanyl, pouring through both the northern and the southern borders, Donald Trump announced a 25% tariffs on products from Mexico and Canada and the 35% on all Chinese imports. And so he was talking about why he liked tariffs so much. I don't know if you guys saw this way back when he was on Joe Rogan before the election. They talked about tariffs. And I want to play Donald Trump explaining why he likes tariffs so much. Watch.
To me, the most beautiful word, and I've said this for the last couple of weeks, in the dictionary today, is the word tariff. It's more beautiful than love. It's more beautiful than anything. It's the most beautiful word. This country can become rich with the proper use of tariffs.
Did you just float out the idea of getting rid of income taxes and replacing it with tariffs?
Well, okay.
Were you serious about that?
Yeah, sure. But why not? Because ready? Our country was the richest relatively in the 1880s and 1890s. A president who was assassinated named McKinley. He was the tariff king. He spoke beautifully of tariffs. His language was really beautiful. We will not allow the enemy to come in and take our jobs and take our factories and take our workers and take our families unless they pay a big price. And the big price is tariffs. And he'd speak like that, but he was right. And then around in the early 1900s, they switched over stupidly to, frankly, an income tax. And you know why? Because countries were putting a lot of pressure on America. We don't want to pay tariffs. Please don't. Believe me, they control our politicians. If you look at the kind of numbers that these guys make.
It is an interesting proposition. So China, an additional 10%. Mexico and Canada, 25%. And when he talks about it in that manner, because I know there's mixed feelings about tariffs, so when he talks about it in that manner, I'm listening, right? Like, I'm like, okay, you're talking about getting rid of the income tax. You're talking about taking us back to, I'm sure Eric is just raring to go on that particular topic. And when you talk about tariffs, maybe say 10 years ago, even 10 years ago, but there was a point in time where I understood the argument of like, well, it's a free market and well, we shouldn't. Well, it's really not, because the way that China has manipulated the system, the way that they have basically slaves, engaging in slave labor, and everything is so much cheaper and all of that. It really the free market has gotten very skewed. So I understand the point, and I want to get your thoughts on this. But first, I want to play, obviously the left, anything Donald Trump announces, if the plan is to make America great again, they want nothing to do with it. And so they're spreading a lot of what they always call mis and disinformation. They claim that we're the ones who do it. They do it, of course, day in and day out. So I want to go through one of these claims here. Tariffs raise prices across the board. That's what they keep saying. They keep saying, oh, I hope these Trump voters are going to be happy with paying more for guacamole. Now, I do want to play a clip here, but I would just like to point out as they talk about that, because they're like, well, your avocados from Mexico are going to be even more expensive. You know what? If I have to pay a little bit more for guacamole in exchange for border security, I'm willing to do that. That's a fine trade for me. Okay, so let's just get that out of the way here. So I want to play Elizabeth Warren on MSNBC, and she was talking about, well, tariffs are going to hurt all segments of the populations by raising prices. Watch.
We have ideas and we deliver on those ideas. They are good for our economy and they are paying off. The numbers show it. What's Donald Trump got?
Is that not a joke?
Nothing. So he seizes on this idea of tariffs, and people look at it and say, are you nuts? Across the board tariffs just means raising the prices for everything that Americans consume that's imported. And Donald Trump just keeps going straight on because nobody can persuade Donald Trump about anything. And it just, to me, what it shows is not just how wrong he is on tariffs. It shows how empty of ideas the Republicans are.
Okay, well, let's go ahead just for good measure. Let's play CNBC providing a little bit different of an explanation for tariffs and why this is actually a good thing. Watch.
By and large, tariffs are good for us, and let me break it down. If politics were a video game and the president were a character you could play, tariffs would be your most powerful economic move. So what's a tariff? Basically a tax any business has to pay to bring goods into a country. The USA is uniquely a reasonably big country with a huge consumer class by global standards. So most every sizable company in the world needs to sell here. The argument against tariffs is that they just tax the U.S. consumer. If you say I have to pay $100 to bring my $100 widget over from China, I'll just charge $200 for it. But it doesn't always work that way. What tariffs can also do is encourage companies to avoid the extra charge by making things here in the U.S., or they can level the playing field for U.S. manufacturers who are getting crushed by cheap imports. So you can't just swallow these headlines that claim tariffs are just a tax on U.S. consumers. If tariffs always dramatically raise prices for consumers, why didn't that happen in 2018 and 2019? The truth is that the U.S. has been so focused on making it easy to import goods from other countries that we've made it reflexive for other countries to tariff U.S. products while we let overseas goods flood in, and tariffs can't stop that, Joe.
Wow. The far right CNBC repeating these far right-wing extremist talking points that tariffs are not necessarily the end of the world and our end of our economy, Jaco.
Yeah, Eric, sorry to go first here. I'll say this. I want people to just think about this. It's not just about a tax, tariffs a tax. It's a geopolitical move.
Right.
It's a power play. It's a stick. It's got to do with the open border. It's got to do with getting the Mexican president to negotiate and say, oh, maybe I close my southern border and not allowing people to march through my country. Maybe we keep our criminals and not sending them to the U.S. Maybe we get the Mexican police and the federales to actually not be part of the cartel. Maybe we fight crime and drugs that kill American kids. Same with Trudeau up north. It's the same thing. It is a power play. I come from a country, South Africa, that was sanctioned. We could not import a can of beans. That kind of political pressure works. It killed apartheid. It literally killed apartheid. It brought equality to a nation. It works. This is not just about taxing. And then the other thing is, how are you going to turn this wicked tide of us not manufacturing anything if you just, Elizabeth Warren, keep outsourcing it and you know the goods you buy from China is crap. It breaks. It doesn't last. It's complete trash. Our American ingenuity and think tank is weaning away. It's falling away. We don't produce anything. We don't manufacture anything. They want to outsource your job to a robot or to some Chinese kid in a slave camp. No, you stem the tide with the tariffs. Yes, great tool to say less taxes, but it's also a political play. It puts you at the negotiation table and say, hey, we're going to start manufacturing here, because here's what companies are going to do. Remember when he said, oh, they're not going to build the car manufacturing plant in Mexico. They're now going to build it on the U.S. side of the border. CEOs in the U.S. are going to start making that decision, going, make it in the USA.
Yeah.
Put Americans to work.
Right.
So it's a multi-pronged. I like it a lot. And you won't have to do it for very long.
Sure.
It starts balancing out.
Yeah, Eric.
Yeah. how much time do we have? Because
You're good.
seriously, I think, and I'm going to be as blunt as I possibly can, everybody's getting this subject wrong, including Trump. I would say especially Trump, actually. Now, here's the thing, and we need to admit harsh realities. Tariffs are not good, okay? They've never been good. And we talk about, and I would argue, from a more geopolitical position, it's bad. Reason being is I would much rather instead, definitely if we're talking about this whole immigration crisis and people wanting to go X place or Y place, if you're going to try to at least deal with that problem, right? I always say that cultural issues are a real thing. Some things that libertarians often get wrong and that they think that all cultures are just compatible, this whole multiculturalism. I'd much rather trade with someone, right, than I would rather, let's say, live alongside somebody that is completely antithetical to me and what I believe in, right? But while it is a geopolitical move, and Yaku is completely right, and I think that is more the play, I still don't want people selling to other American folks a dream as if this isn't going to be some burden. Yes, it is a tax on imported goods, and no, and there's not a damn company in this country. And stop thinking about massive companies. The engine of this country is not some massive manufacturer. It's often the small businesses. Small businesses often get their manufactured goods from other places that are not American. So you're not crippling the big guys. You're crippling the small guys who then have to make an adjustment to what they provide. And I'm telling you this as a business owner. Most of our goods, we come out of America. All the paper that we utilize, everything, it comes out of America for specific reasons. There are things that you simply cannot produce in this country because they've made it illegal. And that's the problem with this. And that Trump hasn't addressed it. The Republican Party has not addressed it. If you're going to have these taxes, and the whole idea is, well, we want more businesses to be here. Sure. Why is there so many goddamn, excuse my language, regulations that prevent people from producing in this country? That incentive, we want to talk about incentives, and I'm all about incentives. I'm Austrian. I love Austrian economics. I understand it. I'm all about incentive. I'm all about human action. But the real reason it's not just simply, well, it was cheaper to produce, because oftentimes
it's regulation that drove it there.
Bingo, it's the regulation in the first place. Something like as simple as this, right? Painting a freaking, like certain types of paint cannot be utilized in this country on like a toy, all the toys that your kids have and all that stuff. And therefore they made it essentially illegal, right, for it to be produced here. And therefore people are having to produce it get it produced somewhere else. It's a stupid law. It's always been a stupid law. It's all for health and all this stuff. That's all bull crap. That has nothing to do with any of this. So whose pockets is it going to line up? That's what they're not talking about. Like, oh, it's going to enrich the country. Who? Politicians. Are the government's going to stop? Who's getting? Is the government going to stop? Let's say, I don't know, taxing us. He's talking about getting rid of an income tax, but he hasn't said anything firm on it, because from all accounts, what it looks like is that not only are my goods going to raise because of these stupid tariffs, but also I'm still going to get taxed in the same damn way that I was before. That is not a good thing. So we need to be realistic about ourselves. Would I rather be taxed zero and there be like a tariff on imported goods? Absolutely, but that is just a lesser of the evils right now. If you want to really solve this issue of manufacturing going overseas, you need to address the regulation and you need to address the taxation issue. And to all accounts, none of them have done it quite yet. We're just slapping a Band-Aid on an issue, and then we're lying to the American people like, oh, this means more jobs for you. No, not necessarily. That sounds great, but not necessarily that's going to be the case. Yes, your goods are going to go up, because I don't think that people realize how many things are produced in other countries, China, Mexico, other parts of South America, not just China and Asia. We're talking about Vietnam. We're talking about India. So many of your goods are produced not here, and it is the government's fault that is the case. Yeah. But we need to address it in its entirety. Now, I want to lie to the American people like, oh yeah, it means more jobs here just because he put a tariff in place. If they don't address the other issues, now you're just still taxed the same way, and now you can't produce in your own country, and it sucks.
Yeah, it sounds like the two of you agree mostly that
it's never
it's
one
a geopolitical move. It's just it needs to be coupled.
I think that Rick is right. It's never one. I just want to be honest with the American people. That's the move. It is a geopolitical move. It is about governments beefing with other governments and trying to negotiate with other governments. stop presenting it as if this is about us. It's about just the general people of America, and we're trying to solve that issue unless you're coupling it with the other things that I mentioned. Yeah. That is a pipe dream.
So this is a geopolitical move because, as I mentioned at the beginning, because the Mexican president has done nothing about all of these, the influx of people coming into our country. They let them cross right on through, knowing that they're going to come to our country. If they plan on stopping and staying in Mexico, it's a problem. If they plan on coming straight to America, they're free to go right on in, right? So the fentanyl, all of that. And so, or just general drugs, but fentanyl, of course, being the most overwhelmingly. And so when you talk about it being a geopolitical move, I would just like to say it looks like it's already somewhat working because both of these presidents, of course, Prime Minister Trudeau and then the Mexican president, I just read this headline here on MSN. Migrant caravans not reaching border, Mexico president says after Trump threats. I mean, he just announced it. And as soon as he announced it, the Mexican president was like, we're not going to let these migrant caravans reach the border. Clearly, they had no problem with it before. Now, all of a sudden, they don't want them to reach the border. And then I want to play Justin Trudeau speaking to reporters about a phone call that he had with Donald Trump about the matter. Watch.
Bonjour tout le monde. I had a good call with Donald Trump last night again. We obviously talked about laying out the facts, talking about how the intense and effective connections between our two countries flow back and forth. We talked about some of the challenges that we can work on together. It was a good call. This is something that we can do, laying out the facts, moving forward in constructive ways. This is a relationship that we know takes a certain amount of working on, and that's what we'll do. One of the really important things is that we be all pulling together on this. The Team Canada approach is what works. That's where, putting aside partisanship, that's where I reached out immediately to Doug Ford to agree with him that we would have a First Ministers meeting this week to talk about the United States.
Interesting. Now, all of a sudden, he wants to work constructively with Donald Trump, who, by the way, 5 minutes ago to all of these people was literally Hitler. And now he wants to talk to him. He wants to work together. He wants to come up with solutions. The Mexican president is over here like, we're going to stop the migrant caravans. So when you look at it strictly as a geopolitical move, he's not even president yet, and it seems to be moving the needle.
Here's why. And look, in not disagreeing with Eric, if you just say we're going to tariff and it's going to fix your problems, absolutely not. You have to absolutely deregulate this whole country. It would be one piece of the puzzle. You've got to make this country less litigious. However, my statement was about South Africa. As a geopolitical play, it is maybe the most powerful. Here's why. 35,000 trucks cross from Canada into the U.S. every day. If you drop that by 10%, you are starting to cripple Canada economically. We have to cripple China economically. We must cripple China. They are Russia's number one. They're Russia's piggy bank. Yeah. So as a geopolitical play, is it sustainable? No, the American people will put so much pressure on Donald Trump to say, you set taxes down, its second quarter taxes are still up. So it's all the things Eric mentioned have to happen simultaneously. You must deregulate, but it's a very powerful stick to get a Mexican president to say, maybe we don't let cartels take our drugs into the country anymore. Maybe we don't. And so for Trudeau all of a sudden to be willing to work with Trump, and your point about guacamole, it's going to take a long time. But there's no reason why we don't grow avocados in Salinas Valley and in Yuma. We just outsourced it because it was regulated, because of Newsom's water mania. You can't water, and let Mexicans grow it. That's not smart.
Right.
That's your food source is not your own.
Right.
That's not smart.
No, it's stupid.
Gotta stem the tide.
Well, how about China and all of the medication that we get from China?
All our drugs are from China.
This is a bad spot to be in.
Communication devices, everything that you utilize, all that stuff is coming from there.
Outsourcing all of it.
And to everybody's point here, it's the point that I've been making for years. Like, it does not have to be produced elsewhere, because even from a fiscal standpoint, just think about it. Even with the labor being as cheap as it is, I don't know if people looked at shipping costs, right?
It's wild.
Guys, it costs an arm and a leg. Even if you get it produced there for cheap, you got to get it over there and then get it on a boat, or if you get it flown here, especially when you're dealing with like pallets of stuff. It is very, very expensive. And my argument has always been is like if you start to look at those finances, right, that you're piling up to just get it from that country to this country, minus the tariffs, right? That's a whole nother issue. But even adding the removing the tariffs from it, it's still financially ridiculous. Like, why couldn't I get it produced here? But this is the problem, right? Because government has incentivized through its own efforts, and I think that's very important. This is Democrats pretending to be against tariffs. They're full of crap. They've been pro-tariff as I don't know what. They just take the opposite position of what their opposition takes, right? So Trump now comes in, now he's pro-tariff. Now all of a sudden y'all free marketers. Like, give me a break. That's a lie, and it's been like that historically. But because through the regulations, often trying to the betterment of the people or whatever, right, or the better common good and all this nonsense, they've taxed the people to death. They've regulated them to death, and that's what incentivized people to go get their goods from an entirely different country, not even a neighboring country in often cases, way across the way, and the infrastructure is not there. So even something like, and people that watch my channel, I've talked about this before in my own experience. If I wanted to get make a toy, right, or a statue for that matter, right, getting it produced in America. It's not even about the finances. The infrastructure to do it at a mass scale is just not there. It doesn't exist. You couldn't if you wanted to. Even if you said money is not the issue, to get it produced, it's just not there. They don't do the injection mode. They don't do any of that stuff here. Why? Because in China, for example, and other countries have perfected it because they're just the only gig in town, right? Yeah. So if you got rid of these regulations and let the market this is a free market position, right? Like let the market truly flourish and let people go out there and be great and figure it out. And you'll find that, maybe to get my goods from Arkansas would be a lot more cheaper than getting it from freaking China.
Right. All right. We could go on about this topic, but we do have to take a quick break, unfortunately. But we want to thank our sponsor real quick, Relief Factor. So Relief Factor is there for those of you who live in constant pain. You think that that's just the way things are. Maybe you're going to Thanksgiving dinner and you're going to see some family members and you're like, those people are a real pain in the ass. It's not for that type of pain, so I'm really sorry. Sorry about it. Okay. But what it is for is, just day-to-day pain, neck pain, knee pain, back pain. What it is the inflammation in your body that is causing this pain. So if you get rid of the inflammation, you can just get rid of the problem. Yaku has used it. His mother has used it. I have used it. I continue to use it because I've got my own protruding disc problems from a car accident. So try it if you're living in pain. It's a very, very potent anti-inflammatory. You can get the 3-week quick start over at relieffactor.com. It's $19.95. 70% of the people who order that keep ordering more. So that's the odds. Okay. I'm not a mathematician. That's just really good odds. Go to relieffactor.com. Get that 3-week quick start over at relieffactor.com. California Governor Gavin Newsom, I think he's like in competition with himself to be the most smarmy, nasty, leftist progressive out there. And again, I say competition with himself because he very clearly already is. So he can just pump the brakes. You're good, Gavin. You don't need to go any further because he has decided to announce these recent plans regarding electric vehicles. Now, before I get into that, I do want to play Donald Trump's intentions regarding Joe Biden's EV mandate that he repeated ad nauseum on the campaign trail. Watch.
On day one, I will immediately terminate Joe Biden's insane electric vehicle mandate, and there will be no ban on gas cars and gas trucks in the Garden State. There will be no ban anywhere in the United States of America on gas. You can buy electric if you want. You can buy gas. You can buy whatever you want, and that's the way it should be.
So very clear, right? Now, Gavin Newsom says that he is going to intervene if Donald Trump dares mess with this EV tax credit. He said that he is going to provide rebates in his state of California. If Donald Trump does that, he said Monday, the state would be doubling down on our commitment to clean air and green jobs in California to maintain the momentum of EV sales. And here's the kicker. He's planning to exclude Tesla from any of these tax credits. So the most effective...
The biggest
electric vehicle company, the biggest one, the only one I hear that doesn't suck. I don't care for an electric vehicle, but I hear that they're actually very cool. And so the only one that doesn't suck, Gavin Newsom's like, no, Tesla doesn't get in. Tesla does not get in. And it's really cute to watch him do this because I want to play Gavin Newsom last month, essentially taking credit for Elon Musk and Tesla's success. Watch.
It's one of the reasons guys like Elon Musk and others have become so damn successful. It's because we've set price signals, we've created markets, we've created opportunities for investment. We're the number one manufacturer in the state for a reason. We continue to be the envy of the world in these policies, and LCFS is a big, big part of that.
Do you think that he actually believes the words that are coming out of his mouth? There's no way.
I think he's he might be a communist. I don't know, but I think for sure at minimum he's just sort of state socialistic sort of Keynesian where he thinks. And oftentimes people think government can just dictate kind of how things work, right? And they're trying to artificially, and that's what to be fair, it's not that it doesn't work because it does work that way, but that's the bad part about it, right? And that they have manufactured this sort of economy, right? And then they're bragging about, hey, look at all these green jobs and things that we created. Sure, we basically had to hold a gun to you guys' head and make it illegal for you guys to produce other things, and then we were going to make it illegal for let's say the manufacturers to produce this type of things. We gave them these mandates and said by 2020, whatever, if you're going to be manufacturing here in California, you have to provide X, Y, and Z. That's all bogus. And it's funny, we're just talking about this in the last segment, and this is what I'm talking about, right? This is the government, again, crippling its own people, crippling its own economy. And as Trump stated there, that's how it should be. Get whatever the hell it is that you want, right? You want an electric vehicle? Whatever. You want a hybrid? Whatever. You want a gas vehicle? Whatever. Let the people decide. All you, sort of raging environmentalists that think the people can dictate what the weather's going to be like. Okay, cool. You can go educate people as much as you like. But where it should stop is what people like, unfortunately, Gavin is doing. And that's forcing an entire, you're talking millions upon millions of people to participate in this damn charade. And he's crippled his own economy, right, by doing such, and he's bragging about it. And unfortunately, a lot of Californians may not even, they still vote for him. But imagine that. You got a guy producing all these jobs in your geographical area, and you're bragging about the fact that he said, we're getting up out of here. We're going to Texas, right? And now we're going to send all the jobs over there. And he's like, yeah, you're right. That's why we did. It's like, what the hell?
It is reminiscent, too, of Obama's, you didn't build that.
Oh, that.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's us, big daddy government, who allowed you to flourish. It's us. You really should thank us. In fact, we're going to take 40% of what you earn. Because it's really us. We should take credit for all of your success. It's very reminiscent when you hear him talking about that of Obama. I want to throw this little tidbit out there first, and then I want to get your thoughts, Yaku. Just remember, this is an industry that the government has been stealing your money, your taxpayer money, to invest in this industry that is not a good investment. But also, it's government, so they're going to screw it up. Here's a headline. Biden's $7.5 billion investment in EV charging has only produced 7 stations in 2 years. And the plan, hold on. The plan was 500,000. Sorry. How many did we get? 7. That does not seem to be an efficient use of your money. Yaku.
And that's how the cookie crumbles. The problem with the left is their economy and their tactics have no math structure to it, right? It's not a 1-for-1. It's like we're promising you 5,000, you get 7. This is why Gavin is doing it. All the auto manufacturers that are not domestic are making less and less EV vehicles. I just spoke to a board member of a European company recently. He's saying we're not going to give this incentive to Elon, who's a domestic manufacturer. It's an American company. We're going to incentivize BMW, Kia, Hyundai, because they're actually pulling out of the U.S. market. And it's like, well, how do we get them back in? Well, they're pumping money into his pockets. He's saying, we'll fight Trump. Come to California. You're broke, buddy. You're running at a $62 billion deficit in your education fund. Yep. You're broke. You are woke and broke. And Texas sits with a $50 billion surplus in our education fund, and we're going to drill more oil than you've ever seen flowing in your life, and we're the cleanest company on the planet. So let's get this straight. You're going to outsource all our manufacturing to China. That's the dirtiest company environmentally in the world, and you're going to make yourself feel good because we're clean, because we have, 7 EV stations with $7 billion or whatever, but you're manufacturing all the crap and pumping pollution into the air. It's there's no math to it, right? It's bogus. A shell game. Yeah. It's so bogus.
Great, huh?
It's a charade. It's a ruse, right? Look, drill, baby, drill.
Yeah. Which, by the way, just to both of y'all's points, just a little. This is not comprehensive, just a small list of companies that Newsom has chased out of California: Tesla, Oracle, Charles Schwab Corporation, Hewlett Packard, Chevron, Symantec, Snowflake, Pabst Brewing Company, Neutrogena, which is Johnson & Johnson, FICO, Dropbox, Lucas Oil, McAfee, and of course, Elon's other 2 companies, X and SpaceX.
These are not conservative companies, by the way, okay? These are not like ultra-right companies. This is like Oracle.
Your policies are giving us no choice, bro.
I just don't see how someone lives in that area. And it's just like when you see something like that happen, and maybe it's because they don't understand how much that impacts them, right? These are people that are taking jobs elsewhere. This is opportunity for you guys, and it's being taken elsewhere because of some idiot governor, and it's not just him. It's all of basically the Democratic Party operating out of the West Coast, and that they're trying to incentivize these types of vehicles being made and all sorts of regulations. And yeah, they'll put up with it for a minute. Even they'll, in some cases, even campaign for you for a little bit. But once that bottom line really starts to get impacted, you see the same story. They'll silently get up out of there, right? And next thing you know, they based out of Frisco and something like that out here in Texas. So you're taking jobs and placing them elsewhere. You should be pissed off if you live out there in the West Coast.
I want you to look at something. Cali is turning red, by the way, but real quick, I want you to look at something. Newsom is returning water rights. He's drying up lakes in California. And guess where he's sending the water? Back to the ocean. He says the ocean needs to get back its water. This guy's a lunatic. But all our food, our produce is grown where? Salinas Valley and Yuma. They can't water the food. He's like, give the ocean back its water. You freaking idiot. Do you understand that it comes out of the ocean in the sky, God moves it, and it rains on Idaho? Yeah. No, they're drying up lakes.
Crazy, man.
Wow.
I mean, he's a lunatic. He's an eel. He's like a water moccasin, right? Crush it.
I look at him and I'm like,
he's an eel.
Yeah, he's
slime.
The villain.
The Antichrist.
He's Lex Luthor. He's Lex Luthor.
It's a villain.
Hair.
He really is. Yeah. All right, we got to take another quick break. We'll be right back. Well, you guys are going to be shocked to hear that big government and Big Pharma have partnered up once again. Yay! You guys are not...
Were they ever not partnered?
You're not clapping. Well, it's just that it's never good whenever they do this. Recently, well, I guess it's not as recent, but back in 2021, we had the COVID vaccine, which we all know is very, very super safe, super effective. Take 10 million boosters. It works, okay? I just want to get that out of the way for YouTube. And, we saw this private-public partnership with the government buying up all of these doses of the vaccine in an unprecedented manner, buying all of these doses up and then providing it to you at no cost. And here we have today the Biden administration announcing plans to expand Medicare and Medicaid to cover obesity drugs now. So obesity drugs like Ozempic, and, drugs of that nature, now they are talking about expanding. So, of course, your tax dollars are going to pay for these. Watch.
A good starting point is to understand what the drugs are currently approved for. They are approved for individuals with type 2 diabetes. They are approved to treat obesity. They're also approved to treat people who are overweight and have one risk factor for heart disease. And they're approved for people who have existing heart disease who are overweight or obese to prevent a second event. Currently, commercial insurances do cover the medications, not obviously in all cases, for all of those indications. But as you pointed out, until now and currently, Medicare and Medicaid are not covering these medications for weight loss only. What the experts are saying is that if this changes, this would now expand coverage to a little over 7 million people, including people, as we are talking about, who currently have Medicare or Medicaid.
I don't love this. It does.
Well, I'm not.
It's not
look,
good.
To me, this isn't abnormal, and that's the unfortunate part. I mean, that's just kind of how the healthcare system in itself just operates, right?
Sick care system.
Yeah, because
this isn't healthcare.
Well, no, that's the point, right? Mm-hmm. Because none of how this stuff works, right? And this is why people want to make it more and more like free, right? They want the government to steal from people to then subsidize it to pay for other people's health care, and oftentimes it neglects to mention bad practices, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what sucks, right? And this is what a lot of people, even during the Obamacare conversations, this is the argument that a lot of people were having. And it's like, you heard all of what she lists off. Due to obesity, due to this, due to that. And I know, maybe it's some semantics thing, but I've never liked the term treat obesity because it makes it seem like, you just kind of get sick with it, right? And it's not how it works, right?
It's out of their control.
Right. Like you just kind of stumble and then you're obese. No, that's due to some bad practices. And you want people to subsidize bad practices. And that's been a theme for the show, right? We've been talking about incentives, right? Mm-hmm. So what incentive does someone have to be healthy, especially going into their older age, if everything as far as the Band-Aids are concerned are going to be funded by the taxpayer, right? Why eat well? Why exercise?
Exactly.
Why do any of that stuff?
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, they want you and I, the working people, they want you to subsidize. And that's what really, really sucks about it.
Yeah. I mean, you have to imagine that RFK would not be on board with something like this. The whole concept of making America healthy again doesn't start with some magic drug that everyone wants to get. And it's already being exploited, right? I mean, the doctors are writing prescriptions for this like candy. They're not explaining the side effects or anything to anyone. I mean, I have spoken to a doctor myself who was, look at me, right? Was willing to write me a prescription for Mounjaro.
Wow.
In her office. And I didn't want it. I was like, no, thank you. I want nothing to do with that. But I said, well, I've heard a lot about the side effects and, what about those? And she looked at me like I had 3 heads. And she was like, side effects? What side effects? And I'm like, first of all, there are side effects to every medication ever. So the fact that you seem so weird about me asking about side effects is very strange to me, very suspect. But then on top of that, she's like, no, none of my patients have complained about any side effects. And I'm just like, this is very, very alarming that you guys would be passing this out like candy to people who don't need it. And now you have this public-private partnership of the government just buying it all up and saying, oh, you want to eat yourself to death? You want to be fat? It's fine. Just take this drug.
Yep. You want pharmaceutical to be last resort and it's first resort in this country. Mm-hmm. It's first choice. It's not, maybe don't stuff your face, okay? And be 150 pounds overweight when you're 16 and you haven't seen your feet in 7.5 months. So go get your fat self and go run, right? Or maybe let's clean up our food and let's not put toxins in our food. No, you know what we do? Get them fat, dumb, stupid, lazy. Heck, that's another way so they can't go vote. They can't even get out of bed. Stab yourself with poison. And it's not just one poison. We just recently rescued a 13-year-old child that had 23 medications in her system that came from CPS, and she had never met a doctor.
Wow.
In person. That's the state of our country. Medicate them to death.
Yeah.
Medicate them. Lining the pockets, because that doctor that's prescribing that to you is getting paid.
Right.
There's an incentive structure.
There's always an incentive structure. There's an incentive structure with vaccines, childhood vaccines on the
They
CDC
can't make
schedule.
money on you be healthy.
Right.
You healthy
That was
means
the
they
whole
don't make
COVID
money.
thing. That whole thing was about incentives, right? It was about hospitals getting laced up with bread, depending on how they were reporting.
Right.
That's what all of it was about. It was fake and gay. All of it. All of it was, man. And it's still
It's sick, Eric.
It is.
It's
No,
sick.
it is
demonic.
because you see how fat people are getting, and you see like, okay, you want to come up with a solution, right? You're like, dude, there's too many overweight people walking around in this country. Something's wrong. Something's got to give. And then you hear about something like this. This does not incentivize people to go work out. It doesn't incentivize people to watch what they're eating. It incentivizes them to actually get out of control because, there's some magic drug they can stab themselves with and it'll be all better.
And are they talking, I didn't hear, but are they talking about age restriction on this?
No.
Okay.
As long as they're part of the Medicaid and Medicare system.
They're already giving it to teenagers.
Right.
Teenagers. So think of what I'm saying here. I mean,
I
what
agree
chances
with
a
you.
teenager have that's borderline overweight that they're going to live 70 years overweight?
I agree with you. I would just say, I don't blame the 16-year-old who's overweight. I blame the parent.
No, that's the parent,
Right,
but
like,
you
I
don't
blame the
medicate that 16-year-old.
Well, correct. Right, exactly.
I mean, you say, hey, let's get you in an activity. Where's NFL 60 minutes of exercise a day? Haven't seen that in a
I've
while.
seen that ad in forever.
Well, I also, it's obviously it's a problem with multiple prongs that if you were looking at an approach to it, you'd have multiple prongs of an approach. But one of them is, of course, that you need to teach people about nutrition. Well, who's going to do that? Because the same government who's buying up all of this, weight loss drugs for people on Medicaid and Medicare is the same government who was like, hey, have 50 million bread servings a day.
Yeah.
Right? They are the ones.
Stuff wrong.
They are the ones who have been recommending health, regulations and rules that have caused Americans to be obese right now. So it's just like, no, I want you, the government, you guys who have contributed to this health crisis right now, you can stay the hell out of anything having to do with obesity as far as I'm concerned. Right. And these doctors that people are going to don't know shit about nutrition and health.
They don't take a single
fat themselves.
They don't go speak to doctors. They don't take a single class on nutrition. 7 years of study, there's not a class on nutrition.
I know.
Look at what they're doing to the poultry industry. Look at what they're doing to beef, ostracizing beef, clean farming. You want the guys like Good Ranchers that want a grass-fed, grass-finished, penalizing these guys for wanting Americans to eat healthy. No. Let's manufacture your burger somewhere else. You got European countries banning fake meat. America goes, eat the fake meat, get fat, we'll stab you with a drug.
Right.
Come on, man.
Yeah, it is dangerous. So hopefully, you have an RFK,
can you start
that's
working,
on it.
please?
Yeah, that's on it because just buying up more weight loss drugs is not quite going to do the trick. And by the way, just as a caveat before we go to break here, I understand that there are certain people, if you're diabetic or whatever, and this drug works for you and you're extremely overweight and this drug works for you, that's great. My point is the government getting involved does not make this any better. The government treating this as some one-size-fits-all magic drug that everyone can take without assuming any sort of accountability for their own actions and behaviors is not a good place to go to. So that's my point before I get the hate mail of just like, but I'm 300 pounds
Get your fat ass up and get to working out. Start moving around and stop eating. I said, no, hell no. Like, we don't need to say, I understand we got to go to break, but no, people need to get right. Like, for real.
I agree with
watch
that.
Watch what you're eating for sure and start moving around. Like, I'm tired of this. We make a lot of excuses. We try to talk around people.
You should never treat it as just you take it in and of itself.
Right. Yeah, not at all. Like, I get it. Yeah, people have some health issues, but it ain't like nobody just falling over themselves and then they just fat as hell. It don't work like that. You're a creature of bad habits and you need to get that stuff fixed. Yeah. That's the true solution, not stabbing yourself with a damn drug.
Yeah.
You parent them, Eric. Yeah. You do it, Rippa.
Yeah, I will.
All right, now that we've pissed off everyone.
Somebody's got to.
Now that we've pissed off everyone, we're going to go to break. We'll be right back. Well, congratulations, everyone. According to CNBC, you guys are going to be shocked to hear this, but listen, CNBC, coming from a place of authority on Thanksgiving, they say, you may not know it, by looking at sticker prices in grocery aisles. But Thanksgiving dinner is actually historically affordable this year. Yep, it's dropped 5% since last year, the lowest level since 2021, they say. And it's estimated at $58.08 for a 10-person gathering, or $5.81 a head. Isn't that so crazy? Don't you feel that when you go to the grocery store to get all of your Thanksgiving materials? Oh, wait, let's actually look at the cost of Thanksgiving this year versus, let's just say 2019 when, we had a different president. Turkey's up 23.4%. Stuffing's up 52.2%. Ham is up 61.5%. Rolls are up 66.4%. Pumpkin pie mix up 25%. Pie shells up 34.9%. And green beans are up 21.2%.
Like I said.
So affordable.
They don't have math.
So
Nobody
affordable.
believes that. Nobody can.
That's what I'm saying.
Like objectively and be like,
no one.
Yeah, it's 5%. No, it ain't down from nothing.
Nothing is down.
What you talking about, man? Yeah,
I'm like, where are you shopping?
These people think you're stupid, and I don't even know what they're talking about. $58 for 10 people. What you talking about?
I know. I'm like $5 a head. Are you
like
kidding? You can't even get that just from the turkey.
Yeah, like what you talking about, man? Ain't gonna be no seasoning on any of that stuff if you doing that. Cause ain't no way. And I'm an efficient guy. We eat pretty efficiently, man. And we bought, but for 10 people, just $58. I like to see it.
Yeah.
There's no way they're not eating non-junk. They probably not eating anything fresh. They're not eating anything worth a damn for $58 for 10 people. 2 people, hell,
you write the word turkey on it.
The more I think about it, the more pissed off I'm getting.
Imagine what it tastes like. Because the paper would be $5.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What you talking about, man? They think we're crazy.
They really do. They really think
we nutty,
man. Just make stuff up, man. I mean, what's down? Heck, we just discussed weight's not even down. Nothing's down. Okay? Nothing's down. Okay.
What I love.
IQ went down.
That's true.
IQ dropped.
That's the fluoride in the water. I love that the first line of this is, you may not know it by looking at sticker prices in grocery aisles.
No stuff.
That's what we're paying. So what do you mean? That's what we're scanning all of these prices that you're talking about and paying for it at the end of the day, at the end of my trip. What do you mean?
Don't believe the sticker, Sarah. Believe what we tell you.
We're telling you. Okay, really quick.
Stuff right
do you guys do turkey?
I do turkey. I'm good with turkey.
Do you do turkey and ham or just turkey?
You know what we do at my house?
What?
Turkey and steak.
Oh, I love that. Can I come to your house?
Thanksgiving. Yep. We do some filet on steak.
I love that. Okay, well, now I'm going to Yaku's for Thanksgiving. Sorry, Mom and Dad. Do you do stuffing?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I don't eat it, but yeah, I'm a fan.
I don't eat it, but it's there.
Yeah, you do it. Do you
really good sweet?
Do you actually stuff the turkey with it, or you do it on the side?
On the side. For sure.
Yeah. So that's dressing.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yes, that's dressing.
Okay, what about rolls?
Yes.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
See, I don't eat like 95% of the things on this list.
You eat sweet potato casserole.
I would have like a teeny tiny little serving.
But you'd eat steak.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
Oh yeah.
Really good.
I'm all on board for it. I mean, I'm carnivore, so. Pies. What's your favorite pie?
Sweet potato.
Sweet potato pie. Okay.
Like the only pie I eat.
It's a pie my mom makes at South African that you don't have here. I don't like American pies.
Why?
Just don't like it. I didn't grow up with it. But it's there. We serve it to our friends.
Well, what's your special pie that's so much better than ours? I want to know now. What's in it?
It's called a coffee caramel pie.
That sounds great.
It's amazing.
Wow.
Incredible.
Well, I am very thankful for you guys.
Thankful for you.
I hope that you guys have a happy Thanksgiving.
And praise God.
Well, we'll see you Monday. I'm off.
Praise God.